You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, Episode 10, Big Trouble in Little China, directed by John Carpenter. So today, as usual, for our double-digit episode, our very first one, I have with me Logan.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk to you guys about John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China, which for some reason I always say Big Trouble Little China. Just forget the N.
Oh.
It's easier that
Big
way.
Trouble Little China, you know?
Yeah. Just add a comma instead of an N. Which was also written by Gary Goldman, David Weinstein, and W.D. Richter, I think is how you say his name, which also wrote Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Right?
Yeah, he worked on the original Invasion from like 78 or something like that.
Nice.
I believe. And then, Gary Goldman, he worked on Total Recall. But besides that, I mean, these people, like this, they haven't really done much. Gary Goldman and David Weinstein and then W.D. Richards, like this is pretty much this and like a couple other credentials to their name. That's about it.
Yeah, when I think about John Carpenter, I just think of Halloween.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, this is notorious, like most popular. I mean, obviously, it's got to be his most popular film.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet if you looked up the statistics of it. But yeah, do you want to give us a little background on the movie itself and the people that directed and wrote it?
This Big Trouble in Little China. All right.
What'd you say?
Big Trouble in Little China?
I thought you dropped the in.
No, Big Trouble in Little China. I can remember the first time I saw this movie. I remember it as clear as day. It was my 8th grade birthday. My cousins Brad and Nathan were in from England because my uncle was in the Air Force, so they lived over in the UK, and they came in for the summer or whatever. He would do his holiday or whatever, and they were in town, and we were at the video store, and I was walking.
Were you at Video Villa?
Well, I was at Video Villa. That's right. Rest in peace, Video Villa.
I mean, they sell movies, but they also sell everything else under the sun.
Well, but they're not Video Villa anymore. But
yeah, I know.
I forget what they changed their name to or whatever. But it's a consignment store now. I was sitting there walking around, and I was with my Aunt Sarah, and we were just looking at movies. And Video Villa, because it was a mom and pop store, it had a very good selection. Now, it wasn't like. We had a movie gallery came in a couple years later, and it had variety. Not variety. When I say variety, I'm not saying like the selection, but it had multiple copies of those movies. So like if a new release came out, like you could see it you had bigger chances of actually watching it. Yeah. A greater chance of watching it versus like at Video Villa, they might get like 3 copies of one movie. And unfortunately, if you didn't get there by the time all 3 were, it took you forever to get it.
I feel like because you lived in a small town, you just had like duped like blockbusters.
We didn't have, Movie Gallery was, I think they're number 4 as like they're definitely part of the top 5 corporate.
But it just sounds like a dupe.
But I mean, it was good though. It was good. It was like, you had your Blockbuster, you had your Hollywood Video.
I forgot about Hollywood Video.
Family Video, I think that was another popular one. I'm not too sure, but Movie Gallery, they were a very popular brand. And when they went out of business, I bought a crap load of DVDs from them.
Yeah, I was a lucky duck. So like 5 minutes down the road from the house I grew up in was a Blockbuster.
Yeah, you grew up lucky. You had,
and then 15 minutes down the road was like a Hollywood
You had
movie.
A Chuck E. Cheese 5 minutes from your house. You had
it was 15.
15 minutes from your house. You had a Toys R Us 15 minutes. Toys R Us, you guys. An hour and 30 minutes from my house. I went there like 4 times growing up.
Yeah, well, I grew up right on the outskirts of a city, so you get those kind of things.
Yeah, and everyone's like,
you grew up an hour from a city.
People are like, I just want to move out to the country. I'm like, no, you don't. You do it for a month, and after a month, you're like, I'm tired of driving 40 minutes to a Walmart.
Honestly, though, sometimes I like just despise the general population so much. A month would be a good vacation, and I probably could go much longer than
We
that.
were there for like a week, and you're like, oh my God, we got to go out 30 minutes again?
Well, that's because I just didn't understand. We all so we went back home. This is off track. We went back to Logan's home for our wedding just to celebrate there. And I wasn't ready because I'm never ready for anything. So there were many last minute things I needed to run and do because, again, I'm never ready. And it like the day before, I'm like, I need to go to Ulta, and is there a Target around here? And everything involved like a whole day trip to get the
Target's
things.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so was Ulta was 45
And
minutes.
I'm like, well, we're getting married tomorrow and got a rehearsal dinner tonight. So like, I fudged up.
But anywho, back to Video Villa. So like we're walking around, and my Aunt Sarah goes, she's like, well, because I was like, I want a good action movie, Aunt Sarah. And she's like, well, have you ever seen Big Trouble in Little China? I'm like, Big Trouble in Little China?
You don't say in either.
I did say Big Trouble in Little China, yeah.
All right, wait until you edit this later.
All right, I'll figure out when I'm edited. I'll add an insert that I am right.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. But anyway, so like, yeah. So we're walking around the video store, and she's like, oh, it's got Kurt Russell in it. And at that point in time, I had already seen Escape from L.A., what's called, because I'm pretty sure it came out by the time I was in 8th. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I knew who Kurt Russell was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if The Soldier had came out yet, because that was another one I was a big fan of too. But I was like, oh yeah, sure. And this movie is just, it is all over the place, but it is fantastic. It is
weird.
It's weird, but here's the thing. It has got martial arts. It's got comedy. It's got martial arts.
Yeah. All right.
It's got monsters.
At that point, watch Karate Kid.
It's got monsters. It's great.
I wouldn't even. Okay, yes, it's got like monsters.
Yeah,
but
it's got sorcery. It's got people with magic powers. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. It is amazing. This movie is fan-freaking-tastic. And it sucks so bad that it didn't do well. Suck. No, it doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck. It's just, it's weird. It's very weird. And
yes,
then also,
I will say it is a very weird
movie. I
could
could see, an 8th grade kid thinking that all like the special effects, like that goes over your head.
Oh yeah, you don't know.
But
about
as
that
an
when
adult, I'm like, for real?
Oh my God. Me and Jim, my buddy Jim would watch this movie after like after, I've already seen it, whatever. And Jim would come over to my house like on Sundays or the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jim would come over and we watch this movie. And I swear we do like when they're, thunder, rain, and lightning would do the, and all that kind of stuff. Like we would do that to a T.
I can't wait till we have video.
We would. Y'all can't see nothing right now because we're not video yet, but it's coming.
The noise was good enough.
But I mean, like
you could feel that.
All the little like, the
we got it.
You got it. Well, I keep on explaining it like they can see it. But anyway, this movie had everything. It had everything. I mean, it's fantastic, and like I said, it sucks that it didn't do well. I mean, when John Carpenter made this movie, he wanted to take the traditional action movie and just kind of flip it a little bit. He wanted to basically make the lead character that typically is the most badass character. He wanted to change it a little bit. He wanted to make kind of like turn him into a lovable character, but kind of like a buffoon, kind of like a clumsy guy or whatever.
Yeah.
As you can tell, Jack Burton is all of that. Like he's cool, savvy, but like, I mean, there's the scene where like right at the beginning of the fight, he shoots his gun and it, at the ceiling and the rocks fall, knocks him out. So for the half of the beginning of the fight, he's knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
There's that one scene where him
You're
and
just gonna spoil the whole entire.
No, I'm just saying like I'm giving examples. There's the one scene where like him and Wang are about to fight.
If I gave Logan 5 more minutes, the podcast would have been over.
But there's one scene where him and Wang are about to fight the gang while they're underground or whatever, and he goes to pull his knife and accidentally flings it across the room.
Yeah.
And by the time he gets his knife and his gun back, like Wang's like defeated everybody.
Yeah.
But and which is funny, Wang's character John Carpenter was actually looking for Jackie Chan. He was kind of eyeballing Jackie Chan to play that character. But at that point in time, they didn't feel like Jackie Chan's English was good enough to play the role.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, that's early 80s. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those really good Jackie Chan films are like early 80s and stuff like that. And he, you know, they're still like, they were dubbed and brought over to, you know, America and stuff like that. And another thing is, a lot of reason why they say this movie didn't really do well is because they didn't promote it. Even though the test screenings did really good, like everyone loved the movie who saw the movie. 20th Century Fox did a horrible job at promoting the movie. And there's a couple, like, I can't remember if it was on the commentary of the DVD or whatever, but like John Carpenter was explaining that like they only left like $2 million for their promoting budget. And he was like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and then the thing is like, when the movie came out, like it was supposed to be this big blockbuster movie, and I think they spent like $25 million something on the movie, and they got a little bit over $11 million back. So it was a big flop.
Yeah,
and to the point where, with all the studio involving and causing issues with the directing and stuff like that, to the point where the movie actually was being produced and actually shipped out to theaters, like John Carpenter was like, I'm not dealing with these big studios anymore. I'm going to go back to independent films and stuff like that. And so like I'm in control and there's less studio involvement.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But the movie actually was originally supposed to be like a Western. Through some different rewrites, and Jack's character was actually going to get his horse stolen instead of his tractor truck. But I like the fact
tractor truck.
What is
Tractor trailer?
Tractor trailer truck. Okay, I just forgot one word. Tractor truck. You know what I mean.
18-wheeler.
There you go. 18-wheeler.
There you go.
Everything's the same. But which they also was going to get Jeff Bridges to be Jack Burton's character, but John Carpenter, I think he said like I can't remember if it was in the commentary, but he was like he really wanted Kurt Russell to play it, but unfortunately Kurt Russell had the couple of movies leading up to this movie were kind of flops. Like I think he did Used Cars. I don't know if he did Used Cars before this, but like that was like a R-rated comedy that kind of like flopped. It wasn't that great. But I always loved Kurt Russell. I mean, I remember watching on the Disney Channel The Computer Wearing Tennis Shoes when he was a little boy. And then you got, Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
He was I don't remember who he voiced, but yeah. Like I always knew the name of Kurt Russell mainly because of my mom and stuff like that.
Yeah. I love all those old movies like Fox the Hound, Alice in Wonderland, which you literally
you were just watching that yesterday.
I was chilling here on a Sunday watching Alice in Wonderland and then taking a nap. If you all want to know what I do in my free time outside of working out in this podcast. So this wasn't the first time that I've seen this. You and I have seen it before a few years ago. And I still feel about it the same way.
I showed it to you. I was like, I was like, you got to watch this movie. And you were like, first thing you're like, how many people die in it?
That's my first question.
If you ever if I ever show a movie to Becca,
if anyone,
well, usually it's me because you're like, okay, well, you know my history of like what movie did we watch? I'm like, it's not that bad.
No. It's not that you say it's not that bad. You try to sell dark humor to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I think that I like dark humor in my definition of dark humor, and I don't even remember what movie it was. I wish I did. I want to say it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I actually really liked that movie. So I don't think it was that one, but maybe it was.
Well, you didn't like it at first, but it grew on you. Same with me. I didn't like it at first.
I like the aesthetic of it.
Remember, because we watched it, and then I think it was the next day, we were sitting there on the couch, and we were talking, and we were like, you know, I kind of want to watch it again. Like, for some reason, I didn't really care for it when I first watched it, but I'm like, now I'm like, that movie is actually pretty good.
But either way, I like the aesthetic of it.
It's a very beautifully shot movie.
And also, like, I'm very into true crime and, with Charles Manson and Sharon Tate, all that stuff. Anyways, Logan tried to sell dark humor to me, and I'm like, I fucking love dark humor. Like, I have a dark sense of humor. I didn't realize, like, dark humor was like people getting killed. Like,
Well, you okay? You said like dark.
I missed the memo on dark humor and what it meant.
That's like Pulp Fiction, which I know you've seen that before. Me and you got together, and you knew what Pulp Fiction was. That's like when he it's funny when
where he's like say what or something like that. Yeah,
that's funny when he I think it's Marv.
I don't necessarily. It's occasionally funny until the actual part happens where someone like gets their brains blown out or. I don't know, shot with a flamethrower. Shout out Once Upon a Time.
That was hilarious.
Hollywood. And then I'm like, okay, hold on. It was funny for a second. And then we took a dark turn, which I guess is the dark humor part that I did not pick up on when it was first advertised to me by Logan.
But this movie's not like that.
No, not at all. No. It is incredibly cheesy and weird. So and I get so caught up in the weird stuff that I'm like partially not even paying attention to what happens in the movie. But yeah, so to give you guys the Becca breakdown, as Logan likes to call it, pretty much Kurt Russell and Dennis Dunn are two friends. They're kind of like friends when Jack, who is played by Kurt Russell, is in town because he drives an 18-wheeler, I guess, does deliveries and stuff like that.
The Pork Chop Express.
Yeah. And they essentially have to go rescue a girl who is Wang's like dream girl that he was trying to pick up from the airport originally, and also Jack's truck. And they are trying to fight like Chinese gangs to get their truck back, but also get the girl and also Gracie Law, who was kidnapped trying to save Wang's dream girl. They're trying to rescue them, and also really Jack's main focus is his truck for the most part. Is what he cares about the most because that's what makes him money. And so he can get back on the road again. So you just deal with that craziness and the Chinese gangs and some action. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much one and done movie.
The movie is all over the place.
I don't even know how I did that breakdown, but good enough.
It's kind of like, it reminds me like,
reminds me of my thought process.
It's like, it plays almost like a video game. It's like where it's like, okay,
yeah, where it's
we're
like
gonna
round
go here,
one, and you have this like little mini fight scene, and you're like, it's like a storytelling game, and then you're like, well, wait a second, this person went missing, and we have to find them.
Yeah, it's like
we're trying to find. Yeah, we're trying to find them, and we have to get through these people first.
Which is
okay, and yeah, that's.
It makes sense that it could have been a Western at first because it would play like a Western. Yeah, so they go in town.
I feel like Westerns got like one big shootout, and that's it.
No. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into Westerns.
I don't watch Westerns. I don't like them. They're just. I mean, nothing against. I mean, if I don't like something, I guess that is against it. But yeah, nothing against it. But Westerns are like bleh. Nothing actually really happens. It's just I'm a big tough guy, and then you pull your gun. So whoever pulls their gun first, and then shoots whoever, and you're done.
That's like a scene. There's more that's going on. Like, Okay. Anywho, but yeah.
So that's a Becca breakdown.
Yeah.
And now Logan can kick us off into the good stuff.
But yeah. So we'll start into it. So it opens up with like Egg.
I didn't realize his name was Egg.
So I'm not gonna lie, I like when I first watched the movie when I was little, and ever since I watched the movie, I never really paid a lot of attention because it would be on and you would watch it.
It's also hard to pay attention to.
There's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that's going on in the movie. But
I gave up.
He kept on calling him Egg. I'm like, did he just make up did Jack just make his name up and just give him this low key racist name?
I'm gonna call you Pancake.
But I just thought it was funny because he kept on saying through the movie, I'm like, and then after you look into it, oh no, that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Egg Foo Young tours.
Express
tours or whatever. But so yeah, it opens up with Egg, and he's talking to his attorney, and the attorney's basically trying to get him to tell him what happened and ask him, where's Jack Burton? Which, by the way, this scene was not supposed to be in the movie. The studio added later, and they were just like, well, we need to build up the main character. So let's make him seem like he's the hero. And it's like, well, that's not the point. That's not the point. He's not supposed to be the hero. It's if people who were familiar with I watched a lot because my grand showed it to me, and I actually really enjoyed it. But like the old Green Hornet show, like you had Green Hornet, sorry,
Hornet, yeah.
Green Hornet, and then the thing is like he was okay, but like his partner Bruce Lee was like the cool character. Like he was the character that was like the most important because he did all the kung fu and stuff like that. So he's the most exciting character. So I like this movie. I feel like relates to that a lot. Where like you got Jack Burton, which is a charisma kind of guy, but Wang is like so cool. He's like he's the sidekick, but he's like the badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they added this scene in post just to try to, I guess, go with the whole Jack Burton being the hero and stuff. So Egg explains to his attorney, like, you know, there's things that are going on that you're not aware of. There's a lot of black magic in Chinatown. And the attorney's just like, all right, what are you talking about? And then he's like, well, let me show you. And then he does the little electricity stuff, which was pretty awesome. And then that bleeds into, we get Jack on the Pork Chop Express. And when he's going on this rant, and it's so funny because Jack Burton, the way he's like presenting himself over the CB radio, it's like you should know who he is. And that's the thing I felt when I watched the movie for the first time. I'm like, okay, is there like a series of movies like this? Like, is this like the third installment and we're kind of getting caught up?
And he's just rambling.
He's just rambling and it's
talking to himself.
He oh my God, his rants are so good. And he's just sitting there, he's like, have I paid my dues? Have I paid my dues? Yes, sir, I've paid my dues. The check is in the mail or something like that. I didn't write all the rant down, but it's
I think that one might be at the end. But either way, you get two rants and he's just going to town, essentially, on a CB radio. Yeah,
and it's just so funny. And then you get the music from, you know, John Carpenter pretty much scores almost all of his movies. And you got that... whatever, but I'm not actually, I don't really like it that much, but it is pretty catchy.
You like it enough to remember. That's gonna be our new intro.
No. But anywho, yeah, so Jack makes his way into Chinatown.
And so he makes his way there, and you then at that point you meet Wang, and you see that Jack and Wang are just kind of drinking, gambling, chilling out at what I assume is one of Jack's stops, essentially.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's where he headed. That's where
and I mean he talked to Wang like he knew him. So
yeah.
There's obviously some sort of background there. And they pretty much make a bet, like double or nothing, so like over $1,000 something.
$1,114.
Yeah, something like that. If Wang can chop the beer bottle he has in half with a machete, and Jack's like, no, this beer bottle.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're gambling with anyone and they want to use their own stuff, no.
Red flag.
Yeah. Red flags all over. And so obviously he tries to cut Jack's beer bottle in half, and it launches at Jack, and Jack catches it with cat-like reflexes.
Great scene. Oh,
he's like leaning back in his chair and grabs it, and pretty much Wang tries to like get out of the deal.
He's like, well, I don't have that kind of money on me. Jack.
I'll get it to you later. I got to go to the airport. And then Jack ultimately is like, well, I'll just go with you. Where are we going?
He's like,
what do we got to do?
I'll follow you. And then he's like, no. How about this? I come to my senses. You get in the truck. I'll drive you to the airport. And then we can stop by the restaurant. You can give me my money. Yeah.
So they head to the airport because Wang is picking up his dream girl, who is, what's her name?
Mao Yin.
Yeah, Mao Yin. And so they're at the airport and they're kind of hanging out, and you see this group of people come in.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like super suspicious, and Jack's like, who are they? And Wang is pretty much like trying to like hush that it is the Chinese, I guess, gang.
Yeah, it's the Lords of Death.
Yeah. And while they're standing there, Jack, as in he, runs into Gracie Law, and he's trying to like flirt, and that's when he sees the Lord of Death gang, and is interrupted flirting with Gracie because they're starting trouble. Pretty much they are trying to like kidnap
Yeah,
who ends up being Miao Ying.
So that's what they try to do is apparently they are kidnapping girls, and we find out later, but they kidnap girls to send to like sex slaves at the White Tiger.
Yes, like this shit just gets crazier
It
and
is
crazier.
a crazy
I'm
movie.
like,
Yes.
what is happening?
Yes.
What like
And you liked his glasses, remember? You're like, oh my God, look at these glasses.
So I don't know if any of you guys remember, there's one of the gang members is in white glasses, but like solid white glasses with just black horizontal slits.
They're like, they make your eyes look like they're Asian. Did you notice that? That's what I can't think of any other way one of those glasses would exist.
No, I think they're supposed to just look futuristic. I didn't think that.
I don't know.
I just thought they were just like funky looking. I want a pair. You probably can't see shit out of them.
Yeah, I don't see how you can see out of them. They're just slits.
Yeah, you just squint through them, I guess. So Jack gets a knife and like a nightstick or whatever pulled onto him to like by the gang for them
because he's trying to step in. He's like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden they just like, the guy pulls out a freaking butterfly knife and a nightstick.
Yeah, not in TSA nowadays. They get damn near stripped down naked. And ultimately Wang's girl, Miao Ying, meow. Sorry, keep messing that up. Gets kidnapped, unfortunately. So then it kicks off the journey where Gracie Law wants to get involved because she's trying to, find her. And also, like, I think
her friend, too. She's there for her friend. And I don't understand that part of the story.
Well, her friend is, I guess, in loop with, like, the newspaper and stuff like that.
No. Remember, she's there to find that the other Asian girl. And she just says, like, yeah, I'm here to introduce her to America so she can have a free chance. And it's like, that's like... I guess that's just a plot point to get her at the airport so she gets introduced.
Yeah, I didn't even hear all that.
Well, it is out. It's a crazy. It's really all over the place. The movie is all over.
Yeah, like I said, I gave up paying attention. So bear with me, everyone. So Jack and Wang now head to where they are convinced the gang has taken Miao Ying.
Miao Yin.
Miao Yin.
Like you said, like a cat. Meow.
That's what I keep saying, but then it sounds different than what you're saying. And this part is just ridiculous. You can explain it because it's just.
So basically,
wild.
They're on their way to try to find Miao Yin, and they're driving down an alleyway, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of this alleyway, there's a funeral procession going on for the Chang Sings, which we later find out that basically, because there's a lot of lore dumped throughout this movie, and people talk very fast. And I'm not gonna lie, to make sure I got everything correctly, I did turn on the subtitles so I can make sure I knew exactly what they were saying. And also, I don't know if any of you guys, we don't have a sound bar, but any of you guys these days watch any kind of movie on any kind of HD TV, I can't hear shit.
Yeah, it's because the speakers are in the back and they just project themselves against whatever's back
and also,
there.
like, anything that's been HD, the music is so loud, or anything that's Blu-rays.
The dang commercials are ridiculously loud. And then you get to the show and it's like, and you're like, what?
But, so anyway, back to the point where, like, Lopan, so there's a funeral going on for the Chang Sings, which their leader, Mr. Lim Lee, has been assassinated by Lopan. We find that out later. But that's why the funerals happen. And then all of a sudden, the Wing Kong shows up, and they start shit.
I'm done already.
I know, right? But it's really cool because when they show up, we get the famous stunt man, Ali Long, or Ali Long. I don't know how to pronounce it anywhere. I'm sorry, but it's like the guy that you've seen in like all the action films. That is the evil Chinese henchman guy. Uh-huh. He's in Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Black Rain. I believe he's the guy who gets the ice cream cone in the back of his head in Last Action Hero. I can't remember, but he's in a lot of movies, and I remember seeing this movie. Like, oh, there's that guy. But anyway, so Wing Kong show up and start shit with the chain sings.
Mind you, Jack is just sitting in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
like, what
Jack
the heck
and Wang
is
are
going on?
They're in the
just
driver's seat, and they're just like, they have no idea what's going on. But
Well,
Wang
Jack
knows
had-
answers to everything.
Yeah, Jack has no idea. He's like, what's we need to get out of here. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What's happening? Who are they? Why are they just standing there in silence? And like Wang has an idea and is trying to keep Jack in the loop, but
And the funny thing, so it's all okay. So you see all these guys with butcher knives and weapons and katanas and like I don't know.
and the other ones have guns.
And then all of a sudden they pull out guns and just start shooting up the place.
Again, who the fuck brings a gun to a knife fight to a gunfight? What?
I don't know. It was crazy.
Missed the memo.
Like it's just like okay, well, okay, so they're gonna just like like they're gonna fight with their like weapons. Then all of a sudden they pull out guns and they just shoot the place up. And then they're like, okay, we're done using guns. Now we'll fight. And it's like, oh my god, like literally almost killed everybody. But the people just keep on coming. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're using Jack's truck to like conceal themselves and hide. And like they come out from like behind the tires of the truck.
Yeah. Oh, and if it's been a while since you watched this movie, rewatch it and look at Wang's face through the entire, like when he's in the truck, keep on looking at his face. He's make the funniest faces.
Oh, I gotta play it back.
Oh no, it's hilarious because like it's almost like every time I look at his face, it's like he just stumped his toe. Like,
That's like Gracie Law's face is like a. I'm really sorry to what I'm about to say.
Kim
and
Cattrall?
Huh?
You talking about Kim Cattrall?
Whoever plays Gracie, I don't know. But whoever plays her, and no offense, because I'm about to say something offensive, she just like looks like a mix of like constipation and confused. Her facial expression. I mean, it's kind of rude because I doubt that's what she was going for. I don't think that's what she was going for.
I'm sure
but I'm like, there's one thing that drives me crazy in movies and TV shows is when people make stupid faces. And don't get me wrong, I probably make stupid faces all the time. I don't even want to know what I look like when I think.
Oh, I got some pictures on my phone that are
great. But yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Like the face does not go with what's happening.
I do like her character though. Her character is very funny and just like. And the funny thing is, like, she knows everything. She's like, Lo Pan, the leader of the Chinese exchange, the Wing Kong exchange, the person that people have not seen for years and years and years that owns all of,
whatever,
Chinatown, whatever. I don't know. It's funny, but
her faces. Speaking of faces, but anyways, go ahead. I derailed us.
The fight's going on. It's going crazy, and then all of a sudden, the fight stops. Okay, and then we get some mystic black magic, and you get,
oh my gosh,
you get great characters' names: Rain, Thunder, and Lightning. Okay, and they, I don't know. These characters are awesome. Awesome. They show up and the fighting stops because they represent Lo Pan, and they're helping out the Wang Kong. Wang Kong. I don't know.
This feels like
it's so crazy. I
imagine this is how you feel when I talk to you about drama. I'm like, so and so did this, and then so and so did that because so and so did this, and yeah.
But yeah, they're helping out the Wing Kong gang, and then they end up pulling out some not guns. Sorry, they end up pulling out some. I don't know the type of weapon it's called, but it's a type of a knife, and they.
Is it a katana?
No, it's not a katana. Katana is like a sword,
which is like a knife.
A sword's not a knife.
It's a really, really large knife. Okay, if I take
like boomerangs.
If I take a picture of a knife and Photoshop it and add like 3 feet, it becomes a sword.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna do that later and prove my point.
Anywho, yeah, they do these front flips and throw these knives at and kill like just 3 people or whatever, and then that's when like that's when Jack and Wang are like, okay, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Lo Pan shows up and he's like, drive, Jack, drive.
Literally like in a glowing green.
And he runs them over. He runs them straight over. Oh my god.
And it does nothing. It's like in Cartoon Network where they just like drop a piano and someone is like boing. And then they shoot back up. This movie is a little
cartoony. Yeah. I think that's a good that's
the effects, yes.
This movie is kind of like a cartoon, I don't know, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something like. Or
especially with how much Jack actually like hurts himself. I don't. But then keeps going.
But yeah, so then they get out of the truck and then they see Lopan. Lopan ends up blinding Jack by using black magic, and it just comes out of nowhere. And he does it. This is like, it's funny if this is something that you had and you were able to do. I feel like you would do it all the time. Like, oh, I can blind you all of a sudden if I just do this little ray. And he only does it once, and he blinds Jack. They take off running, and then Wang throws some water in his face to basically de-blind him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But anyway, so then Jack and Wang make their way back to Wang's restaurant.
Yeah. So once they get to the restaurant, Jack pretty much finds, so they originally thought that they just like abandoned his truck and that they would go back and it would, I guess, be there. I don't know why he would think that, but Jack finds out that the Lords of Death, like the gang, like legitimately stole his truck. So he's on the phone with like insurance companies, like trying to figure out what to do and how to get it back. And while that's all going on, you see Gracie shows up, Gracie Law. Is that just her name, or is she a lawyer?
She is a lawyer.
Okay.
But she goes by Gracie Law. Which another thing is, she just shows up at the restaurant. How the hell does she know where to go?
I don't know. And there's gaps. Anyways, so she shows up to the restaurant, and she is simply focused in getting Wang's lady back, Miao Ying. And so she's trying to tell them, like, I think I know where they are. I think I know where they took her. Like, listen to me. And they're kind of like, okay, well, we have like our own things too, like our own thoughts. And Jack wants his truck, but is also like, I'll help Wang.
He's arguing with insurance on the phone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the phone shuts off.
He's like, just look it up. It reminds me of like an old person trying to figure something out that they're like not used to. And they're like, can't you just type my name? Like, no, an insurance company cannot just type Jack Burton in a system. I mean, maybe they probably could, but
probably name with the birthday or something like that.
Yeah, but still, he's like, can't you just look it up? I don't have it on me. Which
it's in the truck.
Yeah, which obviously I don't.
Yeah.
I'm with him on that.
That is valid.
So they head to the White Tiger, which is like a brothel in Chinatown, because they are convinced that's where Miao Yin is.
Yeah, because they took her there basically because the Lords of Death was hired by the Wang Kongs to find I don't know if, this is where it gets a little murky. So it's like they take her. I don't know if they were just taking girls, just kidnapping girls.
It seemed like that with green eyes. Chinese.
I can't remember if they were looking for
eyes.
girls with green eyes, but I know once we get in there in the White Tiger, I do know lightning and thunder and rain. I can't remember if all three of them show up. I know they go there looking for a girl with green eyes.
Yeah.
But yes, go ahead.
So they get there, and at the same time, Thunder, Rain, and pretty sure the whole gang, all three, and Lightning, go there for a Chinese girl with green eyes, which is Miao Yin. And Wang and Jack head to the Wing Kong Exchange, which is where they're going to find Lo Pan and Miao Yin. So, like, the first place was kind of like a bust. So
yeah, so they went there and they were too late. So then they go back, regroup at the restaurant.
It's literally like straight up like human trafficking. Like, I get this movie is supposed to be funny and stuff, and why not be a party pooper? I get it's supposed to be funny and silly and stuff, but I was talking to Logan. I'm like, no, this is literally like sex trafficking. Like, I think we're coming up on the scene where she's like strapped to the bed and like an earthquake or something's happening.
Yeah, because they crash in through the ceiling.
Yeah.
And
it's
it
like,
rides on the lightning.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, they're just discreetly plugging human trafficking into this movie, and we're all just gonna like overlook it because it's a comedy.
Which is also funny because
apparently we all are. But
what's with Lightning, the character with Lightning, I didn't say it earlier, but a lot of people know this. But the funny thing is, it was the inspiration for Raiden for Mortal Kombat. But the thing is, when I watched it, I had already known what Mortal Kombat was because I wasn't even born in '86. But I had watched it, and I was like, "Oh, that guy kind of reminds me of Raiden a lot." But then, literally, when I find out later, oh, that's what they modeled Raiden after was this movie.
Nice, yeah. So, Jack and Wang, their theory is that they're going to walk into the exchange as if like they should be there.
Yeah, they play phone men, and Jack walks in with just a telephone in his hand, just acting like they're like the phone company.
Yeah.
The swagger Jack has, I'm sorry, but like, no, Kurt Russell did a phenomenal job. I love his character is great.
Yeah, it's this mix of like swagger, but then also just like cluelessness, like just like.
Apparently, he modeled his character after a John Wayne. He wanted to be like a John Wayne, the way he acted. And if you go back and watch, he's like the way he talks, like like it's very
Do you mean
John
like
Wayne.
a duped John Wayne?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But it's very like, hey, listen here, little lady, But like Jack on the, I don't know, I can't even think anything right now to say, but you know what I mean.
I feel you. And so why Jack and Wang are going about their plan, just to nonchalantly enter an exchange where they're not supposed to be. Action, you get a clip of him talking, and he gives us a little background of Lopan. So this is back at the restaurant.
Yeah.
The history of Lopan and kind of like the folklore about it.
Yeah,
and like
kind of
how
like,
it
a
came
little more
up.
dump, something like that. Yeah, basically kind of like gives you a little bit more insight of this Lopan character. What we've found out yet. We get a little bit more information. They kind of slowly feed you information about him throughout the movie.
Yeah, so while that's happening, Jack and Wang, if you couldn't have already guessed it, they start to get trapped in like these booby traps, and they get separated. Don't they get separated and then they come back together again?
So they get trapped at first when they're going down that elevator, and then they end up bringing them back to like Lopan's office area with all the statues.
Not that I'm like a pro at, I don't know, breaking into places, but I don't think it's the best idea to get in the elevator, because when the elevator opens, you don't know what's going to be there.
Yeah, because they go.
I would take the stairs.
Well, I don't know if there was stairs, but yeah, they go in the elevator, and all of a sudden, like,
or a window.
It's so crazy. So they go down the elevator, it fills up with water, completely floods, and then they just open the elevator and they're swimming, and there's just all these dead bodies hanging on these chains. And like I said, through the entire movie, Wang knows everything. Like, it's apparently all this stuff has been like Chinese folklore and stuff like that. So like they're all
he said it's like something they knew but no one talks about knowing.
Yeah, and it also like they just think it's fairy tales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but
it's just like when you're told something when you're little, like I can't think of anything now that I want to say something. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's real? Or you believe it because you're a kid. Yeah, like you believe it because you haven't been taught like otherwise until you are taught otherwise. And then you're like, oh, okay. Or you find out like that is really how things are. And then you're like, oh, shit.
But then, yeah, so basically after all that, they end up getting put in a room, and they're getting tortured by Thunder and Rain, I believe.
What's the one dressed in black? The one that just looks ridiculous. With the faces he makes, he's just overly intense. Oh, that's
Thunder. The Thunder one is the one with the short hair.
Yes.
And then Lightning is, Thunder. And Rain's the one with the long hair.
Yeah, okay. The one with the short hair, kudos on making people uncomfortable with your facial expressions. Because, wow, you're trying hard, okay? So...
But yeah, that's when Lopan shows up. Yeah. And he kind of he basically explains to Jack Wang, like, why he needs... a woman with green eyes.
Which, mind you, he's like this scraggly old lump of skin, just like sitting in a...
So that's another
with like
thing
20 hairs
understand.
On his head.
So when we first see him,
this is where it just starts to do like loop and loop. Like, it just takes you through a bunch of loop-de-loops.
When he first shows up, he is all white. He gets hit by the truck. And then we see him again. He's this wrinkly old man. And
the nails in the first time we saw him just...
It's... I don't know. It's just... And then when he sees Gracie Law again later in the movie, he's the shriveled old man again. But then he goes back to, I guess, his demon form.
Yeah, they try to explain it, like how he keeps switching through all these different ages. Like, he can't die, so he just keeps aging and aging and aging, but then he can take on different forms. Even the explanation I couldn't keep up with. So... That's when you get Jack saying that the rule of the universe from beyond the grave or check into a psych ward, whichever comes first.
I wanted to read that.
Which is pretty much his comeback to like Lopan. Like pretty much Wang is sitting there quietly and he's not fighting back or bickering or whatever, and Jack just like doesn't shut up. Can't even fight to protect himself, first off, because again, he just hurts himself every time he tries. He's got all the confidence
in the world, but it's crazy because he falls flat so many times.
Yeah, but then when things get hot, he's just in no man's land, hurting himself at that point.
So yeah, while they're talking to Lopan and stuff like that, then all of a sudden Lopan sees on the TV that Gracie, Eddie, and Margot, mind you,
Margot is the journalist, I'm pretty sure. She is a journalist.
Margot is the journalist. She is Gracie Law's friend that's trying to write a story about the Lopan and stuff like that.
She wants to break a big story.
Eddie's like, he said the maitre d'. Is a maitre d' like the manager of the restaurant, I guess?
Sure.
That's what he says. He goes, he's the maitre d' of the restaurant. I'm guessing that's the manager. I don't know.
How about it?
But he gets lumped into all this because he's obviously Wang's friend. But Gracie and Eddie Margot show up to the Wing Kong exchange, and they end up getting captured by Thunder, and Thunder takes Eddie to where Jack and Wang are being captured, which then Jack is able to basically escape from their captives in the wheelchair and stuff like that. And that's when we get like the funny wheelchair scene where
where he gets pushed back out
when
of the room.
When he gets pushed back and goes down the thing.
Yeah, and then he's over top of a well essentially, and he's trying to pull himself up, and he I guess uses his ab strength or whatever he's doing.
Well, he locks the wheels and he's literally about to fall to his death.
Yeah, he just counterweights it back up. But then the chair still falls.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. This movie is fun. Like there's a lot. I won't say it's called slapstick, but it's a lot of comedy, action, and stuff like that. Like
it's a lot of random stuff thrown together.
If you go back and watch a lot of those Jackie Chan comedy movies, he had like a different type of like slapstick style martial arts stuff, because a lot of his movies in the fight scenes there was a lot of funny things that would happen, but they were also very badass. Like this movie is badass, but it's very funny as well. But Jack and Wang and Eddie end up finding some guns, and they start to head to break out Gracie and Margot, because now Gracie and Margot are in some prisons that are beneath the Wing Kong exchange.
Yeah, also, like, how many floors does this damn place have?
I know,
they go
right?
up, they go down, then they go down some more, and like...
If you look outside, it just looks like a laundromat.
Yeah, it's just a giant brick warehouse, essentially. It's like... Where are all these levels?
So...
You have like a whole damn house with like a living room where Lopan is. Like, it looks like a fancy mansion, and at the end of the day, when they finally escape, it pans out to the building, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so basically, they end up fighting the guards of the prison. They end up breaking everybody out, including the women that have already been prisoned there, because what we find out a lot is Lopan, in order to become whole again, he has to sacrifice a girl with green eyes to his demon god, Ching Ti, which is basically it's the god of the east or whatever. And once he gets married to the girl with green eyes, and she survives the trial of the burning blade, if she survives that, then he can get married to her, and then he can sacrifice her to Ching Tai. Chang Tai. And once he gets sacrificed to Chang Tai, he can become whole again, and then he can become a mortal man again, which he's been trying to do for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And so we find out kind of throughout the movie, like, he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And the women are not surviving the burning blade test, so he's having a hard time actually finding someone who's worthy to be sacrificed, which we think Mao Yin is going to be that person.
He thinks that.
Yeah,
we don't think that. We think it's crazy.
It's pretty fucking crazy. But yes, so he ends up breaking everybody out, and then we have this funny scene where they all head up to like these big double doors or whatever.
Oh yeah, and they're convinced. They're like, we're getting out of here.
He's like, okay, everything's clear as day after here. Everything should be...
Grace, you get the back, I get the front.
Yeah, all right, we're going to bust in there, we're going to run through there, blah, 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 blah. And then he opens up the door, and there's just tons and tons of Wing Kong soldiers, and he just shuts the door. And it's this movie has so many iconic scenes, which, like I said, this is one. The wheelchair scene's one. There's fantastic things that once you watch it, you'll never forget it. I love this stuff so much. But anyway, so he ends up telling everybody, okay, all right, y'all guys, y'all run the opposite way, escape to the sewers. I'll hold these guys off because he's got a gun.
Yeah.
So he opens a door, and then right before the door opens the door, Wang shows up and he's like, I'm going to fight you. I want to fight these together. So he ends up opening the door, shoots a bunch of them. And this is the funny scene I was talking about earlier, where like, after he shoots everybody and he's out of bullets, he goes to pull his knife out, and then he accidentally throws his knife halfway across the room. And so he runs over, gets a knife, and then and by the time he gets back with his gun, mind you, has no bullets.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing half the time.
And he has his knife in his hand. Wang's basically just beat up everybody.
Yeah.
So him and Jack then head back to the sewers to catch up with everybody, so they can basically leave the Wing Kong exchange, and they're almost out scot-free. They get past the front guards.
Yes.
And stuff
and then
like that.
for some reason, Gracie pauses. I don't know why.
Because the thing that's
well, yeah,
the
she
statue with
pauses
the
to
eyes.
look at it, and it's like, why would you do that? Just keep running. What are you doing? And the eyes move. Statue, it's a giant face in a wall that's like protruding out. It's like 3D or whatever, but you can tell the eyes move, and she's like amazed by it. I would just keep running because clearly this place is freaking weird. And ultimately, like she just gets sucked in. It opens up,
and then that's where the monster
comes and yanks her into it. Yeah. And they don't realize Gracie's not there until they get out. Yeah, essentially,
they don't realize that she's not there until they get in Egg's tour bus.
Yeah,
which then they start opening fire on, and miraculously nobody gets shot.
Yeah,
what the? I'm no offense, but like, if just because you're behind a car door, you can still get hit by the bullets as they go through the car door.
Bullet holes in cars are real. They don't just get stuck in the foundation of the car.
No,
they go all the way through. So at this point, to update you all where the fuck everybody is, Miao-Yin and Gracie are still at the Wing Kong exchange. Okay, check. That checks out those two people. Jack and Wang are back at the restaurant, I'm pretty sure, or somewhere.
Yeah, they're back at the restaurant.
Trying to put together a plan with Egg, and now the Chang Sings have shown up to help.
Yes.
And they're trying to make a plan to go back and save both Gracie and Miao-Yin. So first off, they went in there with everybody but Miao-Yin, and they lost a person. Somehow. I mean, none of them died. So I guess down one, but at least better than down two or more.
But yeah, so after that, like they're talking, and they're trying to come up with the idea of how, like a game plan to go in there. We're going to go in there, infiltrate. We're going to get everybody back that we need to get back, and then we're going to put an end to this. And then Jack, Egg, Wang, the Chain Sings, they're going to
Yeah, because now Egg has decided he's going to join in on this.
Yes,
previously he was just in the background at the restaurant sharing folklore, and now he's like, okay, I'm going to do this too.
He's kind of made it where like it's been his life goal to get rid the world of Lopan.
Yeah,
and this is something that he feels he has to do because he's kind of like a sorcerer in some sort or something. It's not really made clear, but he's somebody. He knows Chinese black magic and stuff like that, and he's very well rounded in whatever that entails. So he's going to help them out because it feels like it's his duty to stop Lopan. So they're going to head to the underground of underneath Chinatown. And so they head into this like warehouse looking kind of like building or whatever, which it's funny. It's actually the internal, it's the inside of the Ghostbusters firehouse.
Yeah.
It's not just the inside. It's not, obviously what they filmed on the outside. It's just what's ever.
Which actually, Logan and I have pictures of the outside if you ever go to New York.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
There.
Oh, we went during Christmas time, so they had the reef out and stuff like that. It was awesome.
Anyways.
But they're going to basically head underground and start making their way through the underground part of the Wing Kong exchange.
Yeah. An alternative route, one would say.
So in the meantime, Lo Pan plans to put Gracie
and Miao Yin, because he realized Gracie has green eyes
Exactly.
too. So he's like, a 2 for 1. One of them has got to be worthy.
Yes.
So, and he finds both of them beautiful and blah, 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 crusty old weird man. And so he gets thunder, lightning, and rain to get them ready for the performance or whatever.
Yeah,
the
they
ritual.
do, like, it's weird. So, like, yeah, there's a ritual where they do some dances and stuff like that with some weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, what? Anyways, so then they levitate with horrible effects.
They put them through the ritual of the burning blade.
Yeah. So essentially what this ritual is Gracie and Miao Yin hold on to these swords, extended knives,
And they're supposed
they levitate up into the air.
and they're supposed to be like burning. Like they're supposed to be so hot.
their eyes change. And
Well, the blades are supposed to be so hot if they touch them, it would burn their skin.
mind
but it
you,
doesn't.
I don't. If, what I can remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's like no smoke or anything coming from the blade. You would just you would only know it's a burning blade ceremony because you listened to the movie. I didn't know that's what it was called, so that shows you where I was at. So they survive it. So he's like, they both survived.
Yes.
Now now I can marry both of them.
Yes.
Prepare both women for me to marry them.
What his plan is, though, is he's going to marry both, okay? But then he's going to leave one to live, but sacrifice the other because he still has to sacrifice his wife to his demon.
He's trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Exactly.
Essentially. So then, mind you, the whole group is underground trying to get to them, and they're around this little like smoky, burny pit thing underground.
Yeah.
And it's like gurgling and stuff, and they're like, "Is that breathing?" Like,
yeah, they're like,
what is
something's under. He's like, "What is that?" He's like, "Is that something underwater breathing?"
Yeah. And all of a sudden, this like giant blob monster like comes out.
It's crazy looking, and you don't. This movie, like I said, it's just. You had no idea monsters were going to show up. First, the monster shows up, takes Gracie Law, and then another monster comes out of a
sewer hole
in the underneath Chinatown and eats a guy. Egg throws his freaking magic marbles,
which is
at
now
it.
blue magic marbles. I think it's like blue dust or whatever, and that eliminates the monster, and everyone's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, he will not return again. He's like, what? What won't return again?
Yeah, Jack's like, what is happening? No one else is as concerned as Jack is, which I don't blame Jack, because I'd be like, what the hell is happening?
I'd be shitting my pants. What are you talking about?
I wouldn't even be there. So after they make
it to Lo Pan, Egg decides that everyone needs to know one bit of bad news that he's been like holding out on the part of this lore that he's been telling everybody. He has a little bit of bad news he needs to remind them, and it's the fact of like, basically, at this point in time, we already said it earlier, but at this point in time, Wang doesn't know that Lo Pan has to sacrifice his wife. He doesn't know that. So he when he finds out that he's going to sacrifice Miao Yin, that's the bad news. Like he's like, oh shit, he's going to. So first off, he's going to marry her, but then he's going to kill her.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, like holy crap. So, and it's funny too. He's like, now that we're here, ready for some bad news. He goes, I got some bad news. Ready? In the way he says it's so funny. But yeah, so he breaks them down, lets them know basically what's going to happen and what's going to take place. He's going to kill one of them. Yeah, what's going to take place? We're going to get married. I'm going to kill one, and then he'll be whole again or whatever, and he'll rule Chinatown. But in order to be able to defeat Lo Pan, they must drink a magic potion. So I guess not any mortal man can kill Lo Pan. They must drink the potion first, and then if they drink the potion, they have the ability to kill him once he becomes mortal.
Yeah. So to roll it back, this is literally just like a story plot of a game. You're just watching it, not playing in it. So then now we see Lopan has a guardian monster, which shows up to let Lopan know that the group is on the way. So Egg, Jack,
The Chain Sings.
Wang, the Chang Sings are on their way. They're underground. They're here. They're here now. So Lopan is like, we need to get going with the wedding, essentially. Like, gotta go.
He's not even worried because he's like
it's the ceremony's been done.
Yeah,
well,
it's already
the ritual.
Yeah, it's already starting. There's not going to wait. They're going to stop it.
Yeah.
There's just a handful of people. We got all this entire army, and we've got like 3 super beings.
Yeah, he ultimately like takes it as a joke. He's just like, okay, whatevs. So now Jack and everybody, they know that they're now heading to the wedding. So they're navigating underground to the wedding. The thing is, once they get there, they can't just immediately attack. Because they Egg pretty much says, like, we need to wait until they are married and the actual sacrifice is about to happen. We have to wait to attack.
Yeah.
So they are strategically waiting to just unload and attack. And
after the marriage is completely done.
And Logan can hit us with this fight scene because what the fuck?
What?
Did
you not like it?
No. I like it. It's funny and it's weird and it's quirky. It's hard to keep up with.
So they wait to attack, and they must wait till he does the ritual, pokes him with the freaking needle, and drinks the blood or whatever. He's not drink the blood, but whatever he does.
Whatever he's doing.
Whatever he's doing. So once he basically states that, it's happening and he's turning mortal, the freaking guardian monster shows up again and lets him know that he's basically, they've arrived.
Yeah.
And that's when the fight starts. Wang throws a sword in the monster's face, kills it. You got Jack. He gets all excited. This is a scene from earlier I spoke, and he shoots his gun in the air. Rocks fall from the ceiling, knock him out. So the first half of the fight,
He's
this
done
battle,
for.
he's done for. He's sleeping.
Mind you, they already have way less people than the army.
So they're getting in the fight.
These fight scenes, oh my gosh, are like the effects are just so weird.
I love it though,
and off the wall. I can see as a kid where you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is so cool."
And the other thing is, it's so funny. Like, okay, so we got after Jack wakes up, they got the funny scene of him and that giant guard in the guard suit or whatever, and he's trying to get his knife out, but he can't. But he ends up kicking it through his boot, and then stabs him in the stomach, and then he falls on him. He can't even get up.
Yeah,
because it weighs so much. Now, meanwhile, you got Wang handing out freaking whoop ass on every freaking Wang Kong, and then he starts fighting. Starts fighting Rain, and then which is a really cool fight scenes, like because the sword work is awesome, the flying through the air and stuff like that. I love that. I love the fight scene between Wang and Rain. And then it moves forward. We get to then see Egg fight Lopan.
Yeah, so
which
you
is
realize
really cool.
that that's the big battle here is Egg and Lopan. Like this seems like, way overdue. They finally get to battle one another, and it pretty much they shoot up into the air. One has one color behind him, the other has another color behind him.
It's like they. I don't. What?
I guess it's their magic. It's their magic dust, is what I'll call it. And then it pretty much turns into literally speaking of video game, turns into a video game scene.
Yeah, because the way that Lopan's doing it, he's got his pinkies crossed, and he's doing his thumbs like he's literally playing a video game.
Yeah.
But but the way that Egg's doing it is obviously much different. But still, it's 8-year-old me is just like foaming at the mouth, like this movie's awesome. Oh my god. Then Thunder and Lopan end up taking Mao Yin away so he can sacrifice her to his demon, and then the god of the east, and then lightning shoots a lightning bolt at the giant monster skull head, which is an escalator on. Which, it's crazy.
And then also, you get this a little bit in a few different scenes, but Gracie is not like under the same spell or whatever that Miao Yin is.
So
you see in various spots where she like opens her eyes and peeks over and breaks like the tranced character that she, or the trance that she's supposed to be in. She breaks it and like looks around, and during this fight scene you can see her like peek and see what's going on and stuff, because she's not in the same trance that Miao Yin is.
So she ends up getting away and stuff like that. So she ends up getting away with Jack, and Wang ends up defeating Rain. Then
see, it's just crazy. Everybody's everywhere.
It is kind of hard. It really is, like, to really talk about it. Ultimately
it's this big crazy fight scene. Gracie and now Jack have broken away from the fight, and they're heading to Lo Pan. But first, they like want to have a romantic moment.
They make out in that little elevator or whatever.
And Jack ends up with lipstick on his mouth, and he like goes to fight Lo Pan but doesn't wipe it off, so he's just looking like a fool.
But it's funny. It's for the purpose, because he's supposed to be like, he's this heroic person, but like kind of like a little bit of a buffoon. Yeah,
ultimately. So.
And then Jack, also Wang shows up too. Wang shows up after he makes his way up there with Jack.
After Lo Pan is killed. Right?
No, he shows up. He shows up because Jack is fighting Lo Pan.
Yeah.
Wang's fighting Thunder.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So ultimately, they kill Lo Pan, and then...
Which is great. This scene's great. The knife scene is so awesome, where he throws the knife at Jack. Oh, no, so Jack throws a knife at Lo Pan, completely misses him.
Yeah.
And then Lo Pan picks up, he's like, this is a very good weapon, Mr. Burton. Time to die. And then he throws it at him, and then Jack somehow catches it.
Yeah,
and then,
so you pretty much, like, the whole bottle scene in the beginning was foreshadowing this.
Yeah, and then he catches it, and then throws the knife right back, and then literally stabs Lo Pan right in the head. And it's funny, because when he's done, he just looks over, he's like, so the reflexes.
Yeah, and then... This is just where crazy weird stuff happens.
Yeah,
Thunder is, like, so overcome that Lo Pan is now dead that he like gets himself, I guess, so worked up, and he loses control, and just he just gets bigger and bigger.
So that's
and bigger.
Part of his power. I don't know if it's like he makes his body bigger. I don't know if it was saying like, okay, he makes his muscles bigger, but like, and then at this point in the movie, it's like, okay, so he's just so worked up, and he's just trying to like push himself to his farthest his body can go, but he goes too far and blows up.
Pretty much smoke starts coming out of his nose and his ears, and his head just explodes. That's I don't know.
Well, I think his entire it's his entire body.
Yeah, he just implodes essentially. And so that happens, and then they all end. So pretty much everyone's defeated, or enough people are at least defeated that they can now escape.
Yeah.
So they go down to the main floor, and they find Jack's truck, and Jack's like, get in the truck, get in the truck. So they all get in to escape.
It's Miao Yin, Gracie, Wang, everybody's there.
Yeah, the whole gang. And they get in, and they're like, the keys, where's the keys? You don't have the keys? And Jack acts like he like doesn't have a key. He's like, why would I have a key? And then suddenly he just pulls one out of thin air from...
No. She says, what's called, don't you have a spare key? Yes, I got a spare key. It's in the whatever it was. What's the
overhead thing?
Overhead thing, whatever the sunny thing is.
Oh, the sun visor.
Sun visor, yeah.
So he finds the key, and they start to escape, essentially.
Yeah, and then they bust through it. They bust through the doors. They're driving down the street, and they basically got to a point where they can relax. They've made it safe and everything like that. Wang and Miao Yin get a little makeout session in the truck, and then they end up heading back to the restaurant, because this movie's funny. So the movie is something happens. They go to the restaurant. They leave. They come back to the restaurant. They leave. They come back to the restaurant.
That's common, though. They have, a little meeting spot. It's just like, it's just like when you and your friends, when you were like really little and had imaginations and you would fight monsters or whatever, you'd always be like, okay, we'll meet in the treehouse or meet in the playhouse so we can have a plan. And, you know, you'd always go back there and meet up. So it's pretty much just like that. That's their meeting spot.
But yes, so everyone's celebrating at the restaurant. Egg decides he's going to go on a long time deserved vacation now that his goal in life has been completed.
Yeah.
And he has rid the world of Lopan. So he is very much happy. Margot ends up asking Eddie out, which they it's funny because there's like early in the movie, he's like, you're going to stay here with Eddie. I don't want to stay here. I want to go with you. He's like, Eddie's got a crush on you. He's like, all right. And then that's okay. So now all of a sudden,
everyone pretty much just gets paired up, but unfortunately, Jack doesn't plan on staying. So you get a moment between Gracie and Jack where it's kind of like, seems like Gracie wants him to stay, and Jack's kind of like,
Well, he says he wants to stay, but then he goes, you know what? Eventually, I rub everybody the wrong way.
Yeah, he pretty much convinces her otherwise and tries to like make her feel better about the fact that like he ain't staying.
Yeah.
So he gets his money from Wang. Him and Gracie say kind of like open-ended goodbye, and he heads out on the road again, and you pretty much get a repeat of the beginning, and he's in his truck leaving or whatever, and back on the radio, just talking about whatever. I think even at this point, maybe it happened in the first talk on the radio scene, or this one, I don't know which one, but he's like, says something about, I don't even know if anybody's listening, or this is for anybody willing to listen, or something like that. I know
he says that at the beginning of it too. It's like, it could just be the way he starts. I can't remember exactly what he starts to say.
Yeah, and he just talks a bunch of gibberish that makes no sense.
It's so
at
great.
all. And then as we pan down the truck and you see the Porky Express or whatever,
Pork Chop Express.
Yeah, one of the monsters is
the monster with all the hair and stuff like that.
Chilling on the bed of the truck.
Would you think it's going to be like there's going to be a sequel or whatever? And this was a big production movie and stuff like that. They put a lot of money into this, and the fact that he didn't even make half of the money back is very sad. I mean, but it's a cult classic now because of like VHSs and DVDs and word of mouth, and I mean everyone loves this movie. I do agree though that I don't believe. I know The Rock was on it, and I've been talking about it. This movie does not need a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel.
There's some stuff that just doesn't need a sequel. But yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand why it flopped because it is just so crazy. Like, yes, there is a storyline, but it is a very soft storyline or short storyline, however you want to say it. But then just a bunch of craziness happens. That's just like they go like way out in left ball field. And they like introduce crazy things like you got monsters, you got magic, which like yes to a child is like fuck yeah, like this is all so cool and crazy, but as just like an average viewer you're like what the hell is going on?
I will say, I remember my mom loved this movie. Like I said, my Aunt Sarah was there. She's like, oh, you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China? And that's how I figured out what the movie was, and we rented it, and I was like, oh, maybe this movie's great.
Yeah, like I said, it's not bad, but I can just understand a little bit of why it would have flopped simply because there's just a lot going on, and I think it is one of those movies that have like a very small niche of people that would be into it.
I mean, I can somewhat agree with that.
Debate.
I can somewhat agree with that, but I'm saying like the fact that like there's so many people that enjoy this movie, the fan base for it is humongous. So there's a series of comics where
there
were released with Snake Plissken and Jack Burton together fighting crime and shit like that.
There are some movies that are not a hit in the beginning, but then as times change, they get revived and are a hit.
I think the most popular movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life was, no one liked it. Yeah. And it did not do well at all. But it has become like a staple of everybody's household to watch it during
it's a
Christmas.
sad movie.
It's a great movie. I love that movie. Movie's so
I just
good.
said it was sad.
Oh,
It's good, but
it
it's
is
sad.
very good. We rewatched it this Christmas, and I was like, man, and oh my
I
God,
am
the
a sucker for a
remastering of
Christmas
it
movie.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because we watched both this past year.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie does not need a sequel at all. I know, like I said, The Rock was trying to get it made as a sequel. I remember I was watching an interview with John Carpenter, and he's like, people keep on asking, is there going to be a sequel? And he's like, you guys, it didn't make any money. No, there's not going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
It was a huge failure. I mean, but like, because of like, movies and rental sales and DVD sales and stuff like that. I mean, it is a cult classic. And I guess that's the definition of a cult classic.
Yeah.
A movie that was that was not a box office success, but once went to home video, became very well known.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie definitely like was one of those movies where like just made me like Kurt Russell even more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all movies, if you're really into them, are going to draw you to a specific character, especially if you're really into a character that's in them.
Yeah, because I like I said, at the time I had seen Escape from L.A. That was an awesome movie. I love that a lot. Mind you, I understand that it was the sequel to Escape from New York and stuff, and I know I like that movie. I like it. Mm-hmm. I understand it is not the better of the two, but because I saw it first, for some reason I just like it more than the
Yeah,
the
I mean,
original.
that's just how it works sometimes.
Yeah, the original was very gritty and stuff like that, and the thing is like the sequel is basically just a rip off of the beginning.
Yeah.
It's copy and paste, just a little bit different. And
Yeah.
the thing is, like I said, because I saw it first, I just enjoy it a little bit more. But I saw that movie. I really like, I was all about action movies when I was younger. I really liked The Soldier, which was a great film. Obviously, The Thing, fantastic. We got to see that at the drive-in. That was awesome. At Minji's.
Yeah, that's a good drive-in. Yeah, I mean, for Big Trouble in Little China, yeah, I'm like, it's not bad in any way, shape, or form. And so I wouldn't say like I love it. I would say I like it. It's decent. It's okay. It's
Would
a lot
you watch
going on.
it again?
Yeah, this isn't the first time I've watched it.
No, I'm saying you watch it. I know you watch it again for us to do the review and stuff. But I'm like saying, like, would you watch it again? Let's just say,
Probably more like a year from now.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. If it's got,
not like an immediate rewatch.
but it's got a rewatchable value to it. Like there's a couple.
Potentially.
There's like movies out there that once I've seen it once, I don't give a shit to watch it again.
Oh yeah, there's tons. I
Like
feel that way.
I remember when
But again, I'm like a sucker for childhood movies. Like I said, I literally was watching Alice in Wonderland this weekend, and I don't even remember the last time I watched it.
that was beautiful too. That was a really nice a remastering.
The remaster of Alice in
the
Wonderland.
version that whatever you were watching, whatever app you were watching it on.
Oh, Disney
Service.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I
was
have them on
beautiful.
VHS.
Yeah, we got the VHS.
But I have a lot of those Disney movies on VHS. But like 4 years ago, I rewatched Babe. I fucking loved Babe.
Oh, Babe is
I could
amazing.
cry just talking about Babe.
Babe is fantastic. And then, what was it? When we were in New York, we were in Central Park and we saw the Balto statue.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, Balto.
Yes, it took you forever to catch on to that. I'm like, take a picture of me with it. We also have a husky. I did not get my husky because of Balto, but I do know about Balto. I know people do it because of that movie, but that's not why I did it. Anyways.
But no, yeah.
I'm like, take a picture of me with it. And then he's sitting there taking the pictures. And then finally he's like, oh my gosh. Because they have like a plaque that says Balto and says the accomplishments of Balto and the little background and stuff. He's like, oh my gosh, it's a statue of Balto. I'm like, duh.
I didn't put it together. But
You think they just put a random statue of a Siberian Husky in Central Park?
I don't know. But also,
Maybe.
I can't remember if Balto was I got to rewatch it because I don't remember too much of it. But I remember loving it as a child.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much the actual true story is behind the cartoon and stuff like that. I'm sure the gist is there. I do feel like there was a movie that shoot.
Are you talking about the
There's a movie that came out a couple years ago that I think it was the same premise of Balto.
Yeah, it's like 12 or
No.
Not
that
12
movie.
feet. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. I forget.
Yeah. I can't believe I forgot his name.
I'll think of it at like 2 a.m. this morning. Tonight.
You're not going to know it, but the guy who go.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, I don't know names.
well, yeah. You're not the person to ask.
Not names. But yeah, so this is definitely it's a rewatch, not an immediate rewatch, but I would rewatch it. It's not blacklisted.
That's good. That's good. I think that meets Becca's approval.
Yeah, like for the rest of my life, I could probably go never seeing The Shining, with no regrets.
Yeah, it could be a hot minute. I could after we watch this.
That's like 10 years from now. I'll watch The Shining again when I'm in my late 30s, chilling. And probably regretfully because you'll make me watch it. But yeah, so for Big Trouble in Little China, definitely an eventual rewatch. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, and also the thing is, you got to look at it like it's got great directing. I mean, John Carpenter did a great job in this movie. Oh, the ending! Oh my God, I don't know if you paid attention to the ending credits, but the song, "We got big trouble." And Little China.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Big trouble.
I didn't have to go back and listen.
And Little China. Oh my God, it's so awful. It's
You're not making it any better.
I didn't say I was. I'm not a singer, but anywho, I had to mimic it somehow. But yeah, oh my God, that song. There was during people used to actually make songs with, the name of the movie and stuff like that. I will say, if any of y'all are listening, and this will be the last thing before I go on a rant, I'm done with it. But anyway, I will say, if you do want a good song that is based off of a movie, that's a current song, Speed Me Up or whatever, the Sonic song.
Yeah.
It's so good.
From Fall Out Boy.
No.
No, that's Spider-Man.
That's Spider-Man, which is great. Which is great. The songs on the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man Friends. That's great.
This is like Wiz Khalifa.
It's Wiz Khalifa.
Was A$AP Rocky in it?
I don't even remember. They're all.
Yeah, it's a mix of them, but it is good. It's very catchy. It's a bop.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. But yeah, I was like, well, when I saw that, I thought I was like, oh man, they're doing that again. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a rewatch for me. I'm assuming it's a rewatch for Logan.
100%.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening as always. If we like it, love it, or hate it, or if we will or will not rewatch it, we will definitely talk to you guys about it no matter what. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to Big Trouble in Little China.
Episode 10.
Yes. Directed by John Carpenter. And we are so excited to enter double digits with you guys. As always, you can like and subscribe to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, as well. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify.
Anywhere you get your podcast.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're out there. If you guys want to give us a listen or give us a rate, we'd love it.
Yeah. And then it's coming very soon, we will be video, which is...
it's coming so soon, Logan will say it every episode until it happens.
Probably.
We can start the countdown now if anyone wants to take bets.
It's a work in process. But yes, when I say soon, this time I mean sooner than the last time I said soon. So this one...
That is how time works. It's getting closer no matter what. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We will see you for episode 11. Well, we won't see you yet. We will talk to you guys for episode 11.
All right, bye.
Bye.